Hi, Mr. Goldthwait. How are you doing today?
Good. Hey, Dr. Goldthwait, how are you?
I'm good. I would like to ask you a few questions today just to get some more information.
Okay, sure.
How old are you?
I'm 50, unfortunately.
How would you describe your diet?
Um, Maybe not the best, a lot of carbs, and I do kind of have a sweet tooth.
How much sleep do you get at night?
Generally that's okay, 6 or 7 hours, I think, in general.
How many kids do you have?
I have three crazy daughters.
What do you do for a living?
I own a chemical cleaning company, and we manufacture and distribute a lot of different industrial chemicals. Been doing it for a long time. I like 26 or 7 years, and the last few years we've been following all the OSHA requirements and all that. But in the early days, it was a little crazy.
How often are you exposed to those chemicals?
Um, every day, probably in one form or the other.
And do you drink or smoke?
Um, yeah, like every day or once a week or
How often?
um, I drink a little scotch, probably a couple of those every day. But I don't smoke.
And what symptoms have you been experiencing?
Well, once or twice a week, I stop what I'm doing and I kind of feel a little spacey. I stare off into space. Sometimes I start blinking over and over again. I don't really realize what I'm doing. Often my wife, Gina, kind of tries to point it out or snap me out of it. When it's one of those days it happens, it will happen, it can happen several times a day. There's probably not a pattern to it. I just think it's like not in the morning or in the evening. It's just like different times a day. It might happen, well, maybe like when it happens, it might be as like many as 10 times or so.
Okay. Have you been in any car accidents or experienced any kind of head trauma?
I don't think I've experienced head trauma. I was in a car accident about 5 years ago.
Are you taking any medications right now?
Yeah, I take medication for kind of standard ADHD.
Do you have any family history of cancer or brain tumors?
Well, I actually wouldn't know that. I was adopted, and so I'm really not aware of my history. I never met my parents or my biological parents. I don't know.
Do you experience frequent headaches?
No, I don't really experience frequent headaches.
So there is the possibility that you might have something called epilepsy. But in order to be sure, I would like to do some simple tests on you just to rule out a few things. The first one is called an EEG, and that's basically where you put little electrode patches onto your head, and that will just record the electrical activity in your brain just to check for any abnormalities. We just have to do that as a precaution. And the second test I would like to perform is called a CT scan, and that's basically like a low-grade X-ray of your brain. And we're just doing that to rule out the possibility of like a tumor, cyst, or any bleeding, but I'm sure everything will come back fine. That's just protocol for anything that might be related to the head.
Okay. All right.
And thirdly, I would like to do a blood test just to check for any infections that might cause seizures. We kind of have to rule out all the possibilities to diagnose you.
Okay. Are you saying so? If I have this epilepsy thing, what does that really mean? Is that hard to treat or?
Fortunately, epilepsy is fairly easy to treat. We would prescribe you with a medication that you would take for a while and see if that helped. What we found is normally the patient's epilepsy is treated fairly quickly, but if not, no worries. We can do a simple surgery and you should be good to go.
All right. Is there anything I need to change?
I would take a break from your job in the sense that you remove yourself from the exposure of all those chemicals, so maybe try and do a little bit more office work instead of being directly in contact with the chemicals.
Okay, I think I can do that. When are we going to when do you want to do these tests?
As soon as possible. I can get you in the next few days.
Okay. I think I can make that work for my schedule. You're not worried or anything, are you?
No. Thank you for coming in to get checked out. Like I said, we'll perform those tests on you as soon as possible to try and get a diagnosis, and then figure out a treatment plan for you. But everything is going to be okay.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Thank you.